Hey everybody, Brooke Sann here. Okay, today we're talking about cranky men and how to love them. Who else has a cranky man in their house? Okay, let's jump right in. The first thing I want to talk about is if we really want to love a cranky man, we need to understand our emotions here, okay? So I want you to think about your emotions. You need to own your emotions. He needs to own his emotions. The way he feels does not have a direct impact of how you feel. Just because he's angry and cranky doesn't mean you have to be. Okay, I want you to think about this for a second. You own your emotions. Your thoughts create your feelings. His thoughts create his feelings. He can come home from work. He can be annoyed and frustrated and yell at the dog and yell at the kids and even yell at you and ask you why you didn't do this and why you didn't do that. He can do that. And it doesn't have to make you feel anything. It actually can't. Because your thoughts create your feelings. You might think thoughts that make you feel frustrated or annoyed or scared, but his emotions are his. Your emotions are yours. I really want you to separate out for a moment and really think about that. We are not sponges. We don't absorb people's emotions. We are human beings. And we might have had experiences over and over and over that lead us to think that if he's angry, I'm angry. If he's cranky, I'm scared. If he's frustrated, run. We might have developed these processes and these thought patterns, but this is not a fact. You own your emotion, okay? That's the first step to being able to love a cranky man, because we need to understand what's going on here. He can be cranky and I can love him. He can be miserable and I can still love him. But let's talk about this man for a minute. Let's talk about men in general, or women too. I don't want you to think I'm pointing the finger at the man. I'm just kind of bringing some light onto how their brain works and why they are the way they are. And it helps us understand and have a little bit more compassion and empathy. Okay, the second thing I want you to think about is an angry man. An angry man normally is hungry for love. Sometimes they're hangry. You can feed them in that case. I get hangry too. That's a word my boys use to describe me. Feed me. Anyways, okay, so an angry man is hungry for love. I want you to think about anger for a second and explain something to you. Anger is a secondary emotion, okay? So we're not just instantly angry. We normally are something before that. A lot of times we're hurt and then we're angry. It's easier to act mad and gnarly and snarly than to take inventory and take ownership over our emotions and being like, I'm hurt. That made me feel insecure even, or I'm scared, I'm vulnerable. A lot of times men are really good at getting angry. I am really good at getting angry too, so I understand the man brain, right? It's easier to act frustrated and annoyed and just pure anger than to admit that we're hurt. Okay? Think about that for a second. The next point I want to make is that a lot of times when we don't have kind of control over emotions, and again, this is true for men and women. I'm just talking about the man because it's kind of fun sometimes to dissect their little brains. Okay, so I want to think a little bit about this idea that if we don't take ownership for our emotions, what normally is happening? We like to blame others for our emotions, right? We like to blame anything for our emotions than actually taking ownership, right? The government, COVID's why I'm miserable, right? Like, you didn't do this and the kids didn't do that. Like, we like to blame others for our emotions, okay? So a man, a husband, a cranky husband might come home and he might blame the kids for being miserable. He might blame the dog for being in the way and tripping over it. He might blame the fridge for being locked and he broke it and he's frustrated. He might blame you that if the house was clean and dinner was ready, then I wouldn't be miserable, right? He might blame everybody for his emotions, okay? It's easier for us, for men, for everybody, to blame other people than to taking ownership of our own emotions. So sometimes I get a little giggle out of it sometimes. My sweet husband, he really is so sweet. He's not cranky normally, but we all are cranky sometimes. Anyways, he sometimes likes to blame anyone or anything for why he's feeling frustrated or annoyed. And understanding that, it just gives me a little compassion because I do it too. It's easier to blame the kids than to actually admit that we're frustrated because we didn't do the thing we were supposed to do. It's easier for us to blame other people. Okay, so this leads me into my next idea here, that I want you to think about the man, right? He's getting angry. He's blaming other people. What happens after that? What do they do? What do they do when they're angry and they have an outburst and they're blaming other people? That's when they feel something. I mean, they're feeling everything, but that's when guilt and shame comes up, right? They're feeling bad about what they did, but if they're not taking ownership of their emotions, then they just withdraw. They feel guilty. They feel shame and embarrassment for the way that they acted, the way they treated their kids, their dog, their wife, and then they withdraw, right? They disconnect themselves because they're embarrassed. They have shame and they want to hide. This is a natural progression of the human brain, right? We do something that causes negative emotion and we retreat. We go to the cave. We don't want to deal with it. And so that's why sometimes we see these men, they're angry, they're frustrated, they're blaming everybody, and they're quiet, right? They don't say too much. They withdraw. You know, you feel like you can't connect with them. You can't have a conversation with them. Well, that's because they're dealing with their emotions. I understand that. That's why a quiet, reserved, burly man doesn't scare me, because I see them as they are. I see them that they're hurting. I see them that they're dealing with emotions in their own way. That doesn't mean I can't love them. Actually, the opposite is true. I have more compassion for them when I see them struggling, when I see them reserved, right? When they pull back away from their family, it doesn't scare me. I see them as they are. And I think that's so important for us to understand what's going on. Because sometimes we just think they're miserable men and they just don't want anything to do with us and they don't love us and they don't care for us and they don't protect us and they don't have fun with us. That's how we see them sometimes, but really there's a lot going on underneath that thick skin of theirs. And I think it's important for you to understand that. Okay, so my next thought is, this is good. We cannot make cranky men happy. This is something I've had to learn, because I thought that if I did everything, if I got the house clean and I made their favorite meal, and if I got the kids quiet and everyone's situated and everything done, then my husband might feel happy. Then even as a child, I thought if I got everything all situated, then my dad would come home happy, or my grandfather, right? Like I thought if I can just manipulate the situations and do everything I can, then maybe they won't be miserable. Because naturally as humans, we want to be around people who are happy and upbeat. It just, if they're happy, we're happy. We think there is a strong connection there. But again, going back to this first thought, we own our own emotions and they own theirs, right? So it's two-sided here. We can't make them happy and they can't make us cranky, okay? So we cannot get cranky men to make us happy, and we cannot make cranky men happy. That is a fact. It's not going to change. But what can change is this. We can draw closer to them. We can understand them so we can love them more. All we can do is love them. If we are not the reason they're unhappy, then naturally it makes us want to draw closer to them. Sometimes we think we are the problem, right? Maybe they've blamed us for a lot of things, and so eventually we start thinking, yeah, maybe we are the problem. But that's not the truth. We are not the problem. We are not the reason they're unhappy. They're unhappy because of their thoughts and their feelings, just like we are. It all comes down to that. But if we can understand how their brain works, then we can have more compassion for them, right? They're full of this pain. They're full of this hurt, this shame, this anger, because they haven't learned how to process their emotions. Very similarly to us, right? We don't know how to process ours, but we're learning. We're getting there. We have maybe, as women, we might have a little bit more capacity to love. We might have a little bit more capacity to have compassion, right? We're designed to be nurturers. We're designed to care for and love. It doesn't come so naturally to men. So maybe that understanding that they're having pain and anguish and shame and guilt, and that's why they withdraw, and we're not the reasons they're unhappy. Thinking about this allows me to have a relationship with anyone. It doesn't stop me from loving anybody. I kind of get, how do I want to say this? I kind of get a kick out of loving men who are reserved. I love a big burly mountain man who's quiet and to the world he might seem miserable. To me, he's not. Look at my husband. He is so fun and so sweet. But to the outside world, he might seem kind of quiet. He might seem kind of scary. People don't know what he's thinking or how he's going to behave. He's a big teddy bear, by the way. But to me, I see it as they're just processing their emotions. They're a man they want to be loved more than anything, just like us, but they just don't know how to show it. So thinking this allows us to have a relationship with anyone. And that means your husband, your cranky dad, your miserable father-in-law, all of these cranky men in our lives, we can love. We can understand them and love them just as they are. And that is it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this as much as I did. Cranky men, gotta love them. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.